when you're dreaming about how good life is going to be when you get to that next destination. You know, and as you're dreaming about that and you're working towards that, you're in the best state that any human being can be. But one of the big influences in my life was Maxwell Maltz. You know, when he come along and I read his book, Psycho-Cybernetics, and I read Think and Grow Rich, the magic of believing, just every positive thinking book I could find as I read. But I think more importantly than read them is do the exercises in them. You know, your brain is like your body; it needs exercise. You know, you need to keep feeding it with positive information of where you want to go and what you want to do and what you want to become. And the more you feed that in there, the more it happens, you know. So and Maxwell Maltz gave me the guide, and I think more than anything else, when I read his book, it made me realize that the mind is just a computer. What you put in, you're going to get back. And it's the most sophisticated computer on earth. You know, the ones they're trying to make now with AI and stuff are trying to duplicate what the human brain does already. I'd been 6 months without riding one single bull, trying to make a living riding bulls. And I had a pregnant wife and a kid on the way, and she's saying, get a job, you know. I just like, good God, my job was riding bulls 8 seconds a day, and it wasn't happening. And so, you know, it was really the most frustrating 6 months of my life. But as soon as I read his book, I realized that the whole problem was right here between my ears. You know, I was worrying about things going wrong, and when you worry about things going wrong, you're sending in information into that computer to make it go wrong. You know, you're seeing an end result picture of yourself bucking off, of going broke, not being able to pay your bills, all the things that you wake up in the night and worry about, you're programming to happen. You know, and once I realized that, then I reversed the worry process. I started worrying about how good it was to stay in the middle of that bull's back, how good it was to go over there and pick up a paycheck when I got through, to drive off in my new car, to make a down payment on my ranch, all the positive things I wanted to happen in my life instead of all the negative things. And once I put enough time in, which it takes about 30 to 60 days to reinvent yourself, to reprogram yourself, then you know, I went all the way to runner-up for the World Championship that year. I was the second highest marked ride of all time on the first bull I got on. You know, I was totally a different human being when I went to that first rodeo. I never had that much confidence. Confidence comes from the unconscious side of the mind. If you haven't got confidence because you don't feel like you're worrying that you won't be able to do it, but if you worry enough you will be able to do it, then you send in a different message, and all the ways 30 to 60 days down the road, all of a sudden you got tons of confidence. And Maxwell Maltz gave tons of, he was a plastic surgeon, and he would take people that were grossly disfigured and make them beautiful, yet they continued to act ugly because their self-image was still of an ugly person. So he started experimenting with self-image psychology, where he'd have them start rehearsing being the new person that they wanted to be. And 30 to 60 days, it takes 21 days a minimum, but I always say 30 to 60 days, they were a totally different person with confidence. And once I seen that, I did that myself, and I went from a bull rider that couldn't stay on an easy bull, much less a rank one, to one of the best bull riders in the world, you know, and went on to, you know, all kinds of Hall of Fame, 3 Hall of Fame performances, World Championship, NFR, of the top 25 rodeos in the world, I won 19 of them, you know, so it'd be like the majors of golf, you know, you just kind of, you know, only the elite win those, you know, but I win them over and over again because I had confidence going in. When I went in there against the best riders, the best bulls, my confidence was at an all-time high. You know?
So what do you think would have happened if you didn't take those 30 days to just reinvent yourself and get on your feet? Where do you think you would have been now?
I'd probably had a job. I'd have been working for a living and for somebody else instead of working for myself. It's just, and I owe Maxwell Maltz for writing that book and seeing, just let me see the light of what it takes to be a winner in rodeo, and in life, because I went from rodeo to television commercials.
Looking for a barbecue sauce with a kick?
In television commercials, it's not what you are, it's what you appear to be. And what makes you appear to be something that they want is that aura around you. So there's an electric field around us called an aura, and it's based on what your thoughts are. If you have confident thoughts, you're going to have a bright aura. The more confident you are, the brighter that aura is. The darker the aura comes from lack of confidence and depression, and anything that's negative is going to create a really dark aura. And as a commercial actor, going in to get a job, I was trying to get a job that everybody in town wanted, because that job was going to pay somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000. So it was a sought-after job. And I remember I was out on the interview one time, and this guy come in, and he was his first interview, and he was looking around. This guy said, "You looking for to sign up?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Right over there." He said, he said, "They said they're looking for a guy who looks just like me." He said, "Well, have a seat. You'll meet 100 more look just like you." So what separates him from them other 100 guys, or me from them other 100 guys, or more than 100 that are trying out, then it's that aura coming off of you when you walk in to get that interview. You got to make that camera like you. You got to you got to radiate. Your personality and has got to radiate. You got 30 seconds to live or die in that interview, and you got to turn on that light bulb and shine. And I was always good at that, because I was once I become an extrovert, I'd spent half my life an introvert, but once I reinvented myself, I made myself an extrovert, and I become outgoing. I become my aura become very bright. It just people were attracted to me. Everything changed. I think I told you I had a really successful uncle in the cement business, and I asked him one day, I said, "What's your secret to success?" He said, "All you got to do is make people like you."
Yeah.
And all I had to do in the commercial business is make that camera like me. And so it's that's why they call movie stars stars. It's that energy coming off of them that makes them stars. Sports stars, you see a sports star walk by, he'll stand out just like a diamond in a goat's ass, compared to anyone else around him, because that bright, confident aura makes you draws your eyes to him. So sales is, they say sales ain't selling the product, it's selling yourself.